You're listening to a show on the Planet Film podcast feed. All right, welcome everybody. We are live with our inaugural episode of Planet Hero on the channel here, on the feed for you guys, on the Planet Film feed. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and say it. My name is Sean Monk, as you know. And then Donald.
I'm Donald Beasley. Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah, I'm Donald Beasley.
And this is the Planet Hero Show. Let's roll it. All right, so welcome. Now we got everything in here. First off, just want to say, in the chat, Falk Nation, welcome. Thank you for the follow on the Twitch stream. I see we have a couple people watching on Twitch and a couple people watching on YouTube. And remember, if you guys, if you are, worried about either of those two, we do also stream to my personal page on Facebook. So if you don't have an account if you somehow don't have a YouTube account, or I know a lot of people don't have Twitch, you can do it on either YouTube or Facebook as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's just go over basically at first what this show is going to be, what we kind of want to do with this show. So first off, basically this show started as something where, we had the main show, and that we're doing that, every single week for you guys on Tuesdays. Then we rolled out Planet Council. And I just kind of felt like, there was a third group that we weren't really serving that much. That's a big audience out there. I know a big audience, big chunk of our main show listeners, and that's comic book news. I mean, a lot of podcasts are just comic book news in general. So we definitely wanted to get a comic book news show going for you guys on the network. And I know, TJ, he's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on. I know we've talked about on the podcast that he started his new job, full-time job. So it's harder for him to be on every show. But luckily, one of my other friends, Donald, was a perfect candidate because, and there he is right there, perfect candidate because he's very much into comic books, all that kind of stuff. He goes deep into everything. He's a big fan of you see the little tease of it on the screen there, of what we're going to be talking about later on in the show, doing a deep dive into the full series of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And don't worry, there will be a non-spoiler section and then a full spoiler discussion. Actually, probably most of the cool things that we're doing are non-spoiler, because we're doing a couple Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ranking lists. Those are all just going to be non-spoiler. But then we are going to have a full-on spoiler talk session of the entire show. So tune out if you hadn't seen the show yet, or we're trying to avoid spoilers. But Donald, what do you want to say? Do you want to intro yourself, give a little background on yourself, your love of movies and or comic book TV, comic books themselves, or comic book movies? Just kind of give the lowdown on what you're all about.
Yeah, happily. First off, I want to say, because I forgot to do this on the other podcast, that I have a YouTube channel that I want to shout out, Blood Bear 115. Go follow me over there. Just wanted to make people aware that I do other stuff. But then,
I will put that in the description too. I'll put your channel in the description as well.
Oh, that very tight, very tight. So yeah, I'm a big fan of movies, comics, like he's already said. I've ever since a young age, I've been a fan of comic books. Especially I had this Ultimate Spider-Man comic book that Ultimate Spider-Man's gonna be my favorite comic. That is, if we do this a lot, which I'm assuming we will weekly, you'll probably hear me talk about Ultimate Spider-Man a lot because it's my favorite comic book. Movies, I love movies from a young age. Star Wars was like my first movie. Watched it like every day. So I love movies. I love comics. My reach is far and wide on those things.
Awesome. Well, cool. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Now, obviously the goal is with this show, because it's not as all-encompassing as the main show. We're trying to make this a shorter show. I know this week's going to be kind of an exception to that, because we're doing a full series recap of a show and all the news that broke in just the past couple hours, which is insane. We're going to be breaking down a lot of that stuff, but this is going to be a shorter show too. But we'll see how it goes today, see kind of how it flows and everything. So
there's no way this one's going to be short.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff to cover here. Literally, if we had had the show at 4 p.m., we would have missed half this news. So it's been a crazy day. And that's just on the comic book end of things. There's been other movie news too that we're gonna definitely cover on Planet Film. So let's go ahead and kick things off right here. Let me pull it up on screen for you guys. Boom, there it is. First off, first news topic we have coming as an exclusive story from Vanity Fair that Ben Affleck will be returning as Batman in the Flash film. So that is something, you see it on screen there. You see that's a picture of him from Justice League. I mean, this is something that a lot of people, they really thought was never ever going to happen. What are your initial thoughts on this, Donald? Are you happy to see Batfleck back from the dead? And what kind of a role do you want to see him take on in this Flash movie? Because this would be him and Michael Keaton playing the Flash or playing Batman in the same movie. How do you think that's all gonna unravel?
Yeah. So when I first heard about this, I didn't actually read the article. I just saw the titles like Ben Affleck's returns in the Flash movie. I don't really understand what's going on with the DC universe because they're changing Batman to Robert Pattinson. So I was like, well, now I feel like his character doesn't matter nearly as much. But now that when I went and read the article, then I realized, oh, it's Michael Keaton too. So they're gonna be doing probably universe jumping or like timeline jumping or some shenanigan with that to have them both fit in there. Maybe even Robert Pattinson will end up in there. You never know. So I'm definitely more excited for it now that I've kind of thought of it in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I mean, the main thing that I see here is this is if I'm going full on like speculation, what I think the actual structure of that movie will be. I think this is going to be something where we are going to start the movie with, because with Justice League and even a little bit in Batman v Superman, mainly Justice League, but Batman and Flash kind of had like a pretty like strong relationship, you know what I mean? Like it was almost as if Batman was treating Barry like another Robin type, you know what I mean? Kind of taking him under his wing, especially with the fact that in Batman v Superman it was Flash who told Bruce, Lois is the like that whole thing. So I think we're gonna see their strong connection in maybe the first third of this movie. This is just pure speculation. I have no context to this. I think this is going to be Batfleck's last thing. I think he's going to maybe bite it, maybe pass away, have a big hero moment, pass away in early on in this Flash film. And I think then it's going to be something where Barry's like, well, we need Bruce. I need Bruce. And then it's going to be something of maybe he realizes that the multiverse exists, because we do have to incorporate in this that this Barry knows the multiverse exists because he has met Grant Gustin. That happened. That's canon to this Barry Allen, to Ezra Miller's Flash. In fact, that's where he gets the name The Flash, is from Grant Gustin. So I definitely want to say, I mean, if Grant Gustin shows up in this thing, that's all bets are off. But
I think of that.
Yeah, just story wise, that's what I think. I think this Batman is going to be working with Barry on something. He's going to bite it. And then I think it's, oh no, we need to get Michael Keaton, or we need to get Bruce in here somehow. And he goes, all right, let me go to some other parallel Earth and grab a Bruce. And that's how you get Michael Keaton. I think that's what it's going to be. Because when we heard that Michael Keaton news, that was going to be multiple films. So it almost sounded like he was going to be replacing Ben Affleck. So I think that's just the logical thing of how to work. What story wise in the actual DCEU do you want to see happen? Do you think this is going to be a team up of two Batman, or kind of a passing the torch from Batfleck even back to Keaton?
Oh man, I didn't know about the Michael Keaton multiple movie thing. I only knew about this one. So that, oh god, I don't know how I feel about that just in general. It's too many Batmen. Because we got, is Robert Pattinson just not going to be part of the DCEU if they're adding Keaton in now? I don't like it. I don't like where they're going here. But
my thing is, I think what's it called? I think that this signifies that Batman is done in these movies, but that they're gonna bring in Michael Keaton as just Bruce, kind of Batman Beyond style, like just old man in a regular suit, kind of Nick Fury in the situation. You know what I mean? Bringing other people in. So I think that's what it's gonna be. I think for your Batman character, that's gonna be Pattinson. I think Bruce is just gonna kind of take on a whole nother meaning in the DCEU. I think that's what it's going to be. So I think it'll still be separate once we get past this first Flash movie.
Do you think Pattinson shows up in this one? Do we get 3 Batman?
I mean, that's absolutely possible. I mean, I'm just basing like my headcanon for this off of, just like what I think they're going to do as like a passing the torch. But it very much could be the other way. It could just be they're throwing everything into this movie. You know what I mean? That if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see Pattinson showing up in this, and you're gonna have 3 Batmen in one movie. I could absolutely see that happening. Yeah. It's gonna be nuts either way.
My only other thought is maybe a Flashpoint thing, maybe where it's Batman, but he's actually Thomas Wayne. But I'm assuming he's reprising his Bruce Wayne role. But I could see if they just wanted to go balls to the wall, just do Flashpoint now that the DCEU is being shaken up.
Yeah, because originally this movie was going to be Flashpoint, and originally they were going to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan come in back as Thomas Wayne, but apparently that has been scrapped, like from the script. So apparently I think they're filling the void of what would have been Thomas Wayne with this. Yeah, exactly. We have somebody in the YouTube chat here saying that they did it before with a cameo in Suicide Squad. I honestly don't expect Affleck's appearance to be any more screen time in this than it was in Suicide Squad. Like I said, though, unless this is going to be a mega team up thing. If this is going to be like a big team up movie, then yeah, I think he's going to have a much bigger part. But if it's just kind of like a passing the torch thing, I think it's going to be smaller. Did you have any other final thoughts on this topic here, or if anybody else in chat wants to weigh in on this?
I just want to carry on with what you were saying. I don't know. I would like to hope that he has a bigger role than he did in Suicide Squad, because I don't want to say it was disappointing with him in Suicide Squad, but I feel like if you're gonna announce 2 Batmen in a movie, give them more than 5 minutes, or else just don't say it and leave it as a little oh that's cool. I wish that's awesome. You just go see it in the theater.
Yeah. I think either one is possible. I think it just depends, and I think I think a lot of people are like, why would you release this information so close to FANDOME? It's literally in 48 hours when all this is officially going to be announced. I think it's just because FANDOME is going to knock us on our ass with surprises and news. I think this stuff is going to be small potatoes compared to what they're going to be announcing there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get the announcement that Affleck's in it, and then maybe in 2 days from now, or even like 1.5 days at this point, we find out exactly what type of a role and how big it's going to be. But I did see somebody online made a very funny joke where they said, thank God for Ana de Armas, the Knives Out actress, because that's who he's dating now. And like, he got like all clean and like buffed up again since he started dating her. So they were like, Hollywood really needs to congratulate her for giving us Batfleck back. Because, I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's great that she helped him get his life on track, but I'm sure she was like, Ben, they're asking you, they're calling you, Warner Brothers is calling you every single day. Like, just do it. You know what I mean? I think that would be awesome. But yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that, see what goes on with that situation. Next up here, we have, this is another piece of news that just broke just a few hours ago. This is coming from, this broke at about 2:50 today, so just like 5 hours ago, almost exactly. This is coming to us as an exclusive from Deadline, and this is that Marvel's Kraven the Hunter solo film at Sony appears to be forming, and it sets the director of Netflix's Triple Frontier, the one with Ben Affleck and Oscar Isaac and Charlie Hunnam from a couple years back, J.C. Chandor, as the director of that. So this is coming really hot off the back of rumors and speculation, and some people even saying a little bit more than rumors, that Kraven is going to be the villain for Spider-Man 3 in the MCU, and that they were looking for a Joel Kinnaman type to play Kraven, which to me, I think I'll just give my thoughts on this quick first. I think that Joel Kinnaman I'm not a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman. It depends on what he's in. Like, perfect example, I do not like him as Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad movie because I really don't like that film. But I am actually pretty excited to see him returning in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Maybe see if he can bring more, what do you want to call it? More kind of levity to that character, and not be so over the top and brooding all the time. Yeah, somebody in chat says Suicide Squad's writing was garbage. I agree with that. And in terms of this director, I saw Triple Frontier once. It was fine. So I'm not really sure how I feel on this director. But the main three things here that I want to get your thoughts on. What are your thoughts on this project getting a director? And what are your thoughts on Joel Kinnaman as Kraven, and just the fact that Kraven is getting seemingly the Venom / Morbius treatment of getting his own villain standalone thing?
Well, first on it getting an actor, I mean, that's good news. It means that we're actually going to get on a roll here, because I'm always very iffy on things getting off the floor with Sony and Spider-Man, because they seem to always just drop and then pick back things up. So getting a director possibly on board, good news. And what you asked about, what James Kinnaman, is it, or Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman.
Okay.
Playing Kraven.
I don't remember Suicide Squad enough, and I don't recognize the name, so I have to look up who this is real quick to.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Did you ever see Altered Carbon? He was on that show on Netflix.
I have not. Wait, I think I recognize this guy now. Anyway, no, I'm down with it. I'm down with him being. He definitely could be Kraven. He could definitely do a good Kraven. I would think, just looking at him.
He could get some good facial hair going.
Oh, definitely.
And wear a nice leopard print. And then, so what do you think of? Let's just talk about Kraven's involvement in general here. Oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody just followed me on Twitch, and I don't have the overlay up. So I will look up who
Thanks
that
for the
was.
follow.
And then, yeah, I'll thank them in a second once I get their name. But thank you for the follow. So let's talk about Kraven's involvement in general. So we got rumors that he is going to be the villain in Spider-Man 3. So obviously that film is very much going to be set in the MCU. You'd assume if they're making a Kraven the Hunter movie, it would be the same actor, because you have Michael Keaton. You know that he's in Morbius playing Vulture again. Thunderhawk, thank you for the follow. That's who it was. So you know that he is in Morbius playing Vulture again. So you know that these Sony villain movies are definitely at least crossing over with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So you have to assume it would be the same actor. Like, let's just say it's Joel Kinnaman in this instance. But what are your thoughts on that? Getting introduced to Kraven as a villain in Spider-Man 3, then after that, him getting his own solo movie. Do you think this is building up to a Sinister Six thing with Tom Hardy's Venom, Morbius, Vulture, Mysterio? Like, do you think that's where we're going with this? And then eventually whoever they cast is Norman Osborn, kind of wrangling the whole team up?
Yes, that would be my hope. I really want Sinister Six. I want them so bad. I love the Sinister Six. I actually really wish this came out. I wish it was set to come out before Spider-Man 3, because I think it would make a much more interesting villain to see. Just to get all this character development for 2 hours in his own movie, and then he's the villain for Spider-Man. I think would be a lot more entertaining.
What if you could just reverse it, and maybe this movie comes out, but maybe it is a prequel. You know what I mean? Maybe you just make a movie like that, but it's just you're introduced to him in Spider-Man first. You know what I mean? Because you'd have to assume most of these Spider-Man villains, and I'm saying this is a good thing, and also most of these MCU villains as well. In the last couple phases, they've stopped the Marvel curse of just killing off every single villain at the end of every movie. Mysterio aside, because that guy. There are a bajillion ways that guy can come back, even though he would. Well,
Yeah.
We won't get into full spoilers, but I have no doubts that Jake Gyllenhaal is not finished in the MCU in some form or another. So I just think I think in my like just what I've been building in my head canon like for a long time has been and me and TJ even talked about it on the main show a couple weeks back, is Giancarlo Esposito playing Norman Osborn, because I think that would be like perfect casting. It's Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't remember his name yet. Oh, actually, he would be great.
Yeah, I think he would be, and he even flat out said, because we did a shooting the shit a while back that was Giancarlo Esposito. He had just had this like interview like a month ago where he was just going off the walls. Like he was like I am like taking over Hollywood. Like he was saying it about himself, and it was just like very funny because it's like this guy who like got his big acting break when he was like 45. And now he's in everything. And it's like, that is just like such a cool story. And he literally said in that interview, he said, I think I have my eyes set on the Marvel Cinematic Universe next. Like he literally said that. And I was like, the balls to just say that like in an interview, like, and I just think his perfect fit would be as Norman Osborn. So that's what I think is going to happen. And then we have another news story here, which our next one.
Hold on.
Oh yeah,
I want to talk about Gus Bean or Norman real quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm torn. I'm very biased on this subject because again, I love Ultimate Spider-Man, and I think Green Goblin is much better in Ultimate Spider-Man than it is in regular Spider-Man, which is probably a very hot take. But I don't know if he would come across well as an Ultimate Green Goblin, which is really what I want to see. Mm-hmm. So I'm torn there, but I think he'll do phenomenal as Norman. As far as when he puts a Green Goblin garb on, I don't know. But yeah, next news story.
Yeah, no, yeah, I can get that because I don't know. I think it depends. Like you said, I think it depends how far they go with the Norman character. I would actually want to see. Instead of going that route with it, I actually much prefer, and this is where we're going back and forth with the different comic book knowledges and stuff of the two of us, because I actually much prefer the Norman Osborn trajectory where he ends up with being like Iron Patriot and that sort of stuff. I'd like to see give me go real crazy. Give me President Norman Osborn before he even publicly is revealed to be a villain. You know what I mean? Like, give me the long game with Norman Osborn in the MCU, because they do the long game. I mean, think about Thanos. His first appearance was in 2012 in the post-credit scene, and he appeared in 5 movies before Endgame. Like, and give me something like that. That would be my dream.
I do have to agree with you. I definitely would want to see. I don't want him to be Green Goblin immediately. I'm just worried about in the future him when he does eventually probably become Green Goblin, because I can't see him not doing it. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see him as this just billionaire bad dude doing stuff until he eventually needs to like become a true cartoony villain or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's just going to be so interesting because there's so many ways to do it. You could introduce him as completely good and then watch him slowly fall from grace. You could introduce him at like kind of in the Spider-Man PS4 game, where you could introduce him where he appears that he's good, but then you kind of throughout the game you kind of realize, oh no, he's already off the deep end. Like we just haven't seen it yet, type thing. So it'll be interesting to see. But it's speculation on speculation because I mean the guy hasn't even been cast in the MCU yet, but we're holding out hope because that casting is perfect. So next story here, which actually just came out late last night. This is coming from I have the Collider article pulled up here. Let me see where the exclusive is. I don't have the exclusive pulled up. Oh, okay. I think it's Deadline. Yeah, so this is coming from Deadline, same people that broke the Craven scoop. So let me pull it up here. This is that Olivia Wilde, obviously movie star and turned producer and director of Booksmart this past year, which had a ton of critical and awards claim, is set to direct a new Marvel movie at Sony they're saying may feature Spider-Woman. The initial reports were that it is Spider-Woman that she is going to be directing, with Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, being the protagonist of the film. At this point, I think they're kind of backtracking on that because it might not be a guarantee that that's who it's going to be. But what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this being a Sony movie? So again, this is gonna, what do they call it? The Sony universe of Marvel characters. That's like what Sony's calling their little universe. What are your thoughts on getting a Spider-Woman in that universe and the fact that Olivia Wilde is going to be directing it?
I'm not familiar with Olivia Wilde because I'm terrible with names. I probably know a million things she's done, but I can't think of any of them. But
you know Tron Legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's what's her name in that? Oh God, the character's name just escaped me. But she's the girl in Tron Legacy. She's in a ton of other stuff too. But yeah,
Is this her directorial debut? I don't know things that she's directed. Is more so what I.
No, I think she's directed a few smaller things, but her big thing was last year she directed Booksmart, which was like a huge movie. Yeah, that was really, really well received. It was definitely one of my top of the year. It was really, really good.
All right, well, seeing as she has, she has a bunch of directorial things. Okay, I'm always worried when people like just up and become directors out of nowhere. I'm just always worried that they won't turn out great. But no, she has stuff under her belt, so I'm not worried about that at all. As per usual. And so Sony currently is on my good side with the Spider-Man movies and the Venom. I loved Venom, so they're on my good side. So I currently expect them not to do anything wrong. But there are worries of Amazing Spider-Man issues happening again. But anyway, I don't have an issue with Olivia Wilde here doing a possibly Spider movie. I don't want to be Spider-Woman. I really don't want to be Spider-Woman.
Really?
I would like, if I had to pick, I'd go Silk or Spider-Gwen.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Out of those choices, absolutely, I would rather go with that. Somebody actually put up. Let me find her. So somebody actually tweeted out that this actress. High School Musical. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Somebody tweeted out that the actress, the main character, Olivia Rodrigo, who is the main actress on High School Musical, the series on Disney Plus, should be Spider-Woman. And I tweeted back at them, and I was like, I feel like, because she's much younger, I was like, I feel like she would be a great fit for Silk. I was like, I would want.
She looks like Silk.
Yeah, I would want a Silk movie before I get a Spider-Woman movie. Like, I understand that it is something, and I'll say this, there are other things that the Jessica Drew character can represent in a film that, like, characters like Silk can't, like, because she's an older, like, character. Like, there's been comics where she's like a mother. It's like, what do you do when you're a single mother and you're also a private eye and you're Spider-Woman? Like, that's very that's very interesting to me, to give an angle of like a working mother who is a superhero, and like you're fighting crime, but you got to like call the babysitter or something. You know what I mean? Like, that would be really cool to me. But my thing is, that's the only really cool angle I can think of on this character, because otherwise it's just kind of a retread of Spider-Man. Like, give me Spider-Gwen. Give me that full story. Give me that we've gone off the deep end with multiverse when it comes to Spider-Man, even when it comes to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So even though we haven't introduced a Gwen in the MCU yet, pull a Spider-Verse. Say that this is a Gwen from another reality that is coming in here, and her Peter is dead. That she's got like this trauma. She's doing that. Like, give me that story. That'd be super interesting. Or you could just give me Silk. It was straight up in the MCU, because Silk you could just pop right in as is. But yeah, either way, I'm stoked for Olivia Wilde to be directing a Marvel movie. I think it's great, whether it's Sony or MCU proper. I think it's great that both Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige have really been making a push to, get more diversity behind the camera, as well as obviously working on diversity in front of the camera. But I think that's really, really cool. And it does say may feature Spider-Woman. So maybe at this point they kind of put out Spider-Woman to see, okay, what character are people really responding to? Like if a bunch of people say, "Oh, I wish it was Silk," maybe it changes, you know what I mean? So that would be really interesting. Do you have any final thoughts on that or anything?
No, just that if they were to do Silk or Spider-Gwen, I would worry it's a little too early in Tom Holland's Spider-Man career to then have them introduced. But if they're like or alternate reality or anything, that's not going to be an issue. But that's my only other worry.
Trying to think if you could play around with something with the blip, where like especially with Silk, because Silk being like where she's bit by the same spider that bit Peter, like because Peter at this point age wise has been Spider-Man for 5 years, but then you add 5 years on top of that from the blip. So you could kind of mess around. I don't know how you would do it, but you could kind of mess around with that to make it that like the world has known Spider-Man for 10 years at this point. You know what I mean? Because they have. So that's the only thing that I could think of that could make it work there. But do you just before we go to it, do you have the next story pulled up?
No, I was waiting. I wait until we go over to click on it. Which
No
one
problem. Just because it's going to be the next one about the picture,
Okay.
the logo. Okay, yeah, just have it pulled up because this thing is incredible, and that is what I'm talking about. Let me pull it up here. Our next story is that Matt Reeves, in anticipation for Saturday's DC Fandom event, has unveiled these awesome, awesome images for his upcoming film, The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne / Batman, which is we get a look at the official film logo, which I'll pull it up big on the screen in just a moment. And then we also get this amazing Jim Lee art piece of Pattinson's full glory batsuit in this bright red, which looks freaking incredible. Like that thing looks nuts. So let me just go through it. Let me just read off the full tweet here. This is from Matt Reeves. It says, excited to share the very first look at our official Batman logo and some very cool additional DC Fandom artwork by the amazing Jim Lee. See more of #the Batman at the DC Fandom Global event in the Hall of Heroes this Saturday, 8/22. So obviously that's going to be Saturday in just 2 days from now. And here we go. I got it pulled up big for you guys on the screen. Look at that logo. Look at the freaking detail in that. That thing looks awesome. Throw it over to you, Donald. What are your thoughts on the logo here being this bright, like pulpy comic book red with the bat symbol in it? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
It gives me big Batman Beyond vibes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. These are just beautiful images, but I feel like there's not a lot to be said about them because we can't speculate highly on images, but they are beautiful.
Yeah, I think my thing is, I think that this is very, very different from anything else we've seen. You know, we've seen back in the day Keaton with the kind of metallic gold logo, and then that kind of carried over for all four of those movies. And then you get kind of just the thin almost font, and that was it for the Dark Knight. You know what I mean? And then followed by, you know, the bat symbol would always be there too. And then we never had any Batman film logo with Affleck because there was no Batman film other than Batman v Superman, which again, that was just font under the logo. So this being like our first actual like thick, bold, stylized logo for a Batman in a while, I love it. Like you said, really, really evoking the Batman Beyond vibes with the bright red, and I just love like the scratchy like paint. I can't really tell exactly what that is supposed to be, but I just like the weathered look of it. Because we know that Pattinson is going to be, he's a fresher Batman. You know, he's only been on the scene maybe a couple years, if that. And this is kind of indicative to me of a homemade Batman. It looks like a homemade you know what I mean? Like with the scratch marks and like as if he doesn't have the money or the drive to repair it. You know what I mean? He probably has the money, but like it's not important to him to make the suit look as good as possible at all times. Like, for example, Bale's Batman. You know what I mean? Like, the suit was always pristine and in great condition. If something would break, he would immediately repair it. This guy seems like he's got maybe like a sewing kit in the utility belt that he just like sews the suit back together every day. But yeah, and then that, in terms of the Jim Lee art, like that's just crazy. Like that, the fact that guy can just bash out this awesome artwork, and also this kind of gives us our best look so far at the legs of Pattinson's batsuit. It looks like there's some armoring on the legs, which we haven't seen before. We've seen the interesting like collar and shoulder piece, but it looks like there's maybe those are pockets, or maybe it's just like armor plating. But it looks like he's super armored up, which I think looks really, really cool. But yeah, like Donald said, there's not much that we can really pull out of this just because it is 2 images. But what this is telling me is that we are going to be, because you see all the time at Comic-Cons and stuff, where it's like, we got something really exciting, and it's like a logo and like a like, and that's it. Like, but if they're dropping the logo in a tweet, it tells me they probably got something really, really cool planned for Fandome, which I hope. I mean, it would be amazing if they have edited together a teaser. Like, that would be nuts. If we got a Batman teaser this weekend, it'd be crazy. But yeah, so do you have any other things you wanted to talk about on the Batman images before we go on to the next topic?
Not entirely, but off of what you said, that about like possible teaser, I do think that we're going to teaser something Batman. There's something huge Batman related definitely is going to happen at Fandome, with all like the Batman specific things they're doing, like this and the Flash announcement. I feel like there's going to be something really big with Batman announced.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we have the also, it's not a main topic today, but we just touch on it briefly here. We also have Rocksteady and Warner Brothers Games have been slowly teasing for this whole week the next, I don't want to call it the next Arkham game, because we don't know if it's going to be in the Arkham series, but the next Batman game is absolutely going to be announced this Saturday. That's like almost a given at this point. And so we're getting the game, we're getting this movie, we're getting, like you said, the Flash panel is going to be almost 90% Batman news. You know what I mean? Like at the Flash movie panel, which is very interesting. Gosh, could you imagine if it's, because they're all pre-recorded on like a Zoom call. Could you imagine if they're like, if Andy Muschietti is like, oh, let me bring in 2 of my friends, and then like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck both hop on the Zoom call? Oh my gosh. It's going to be nuts, man. I cannot wait for Saturday. Yeah. All right. So, speaking of Saturday, our next topic here is a little weirder. It kind of came out of nowhere yesterday, which is about DC Fandome. So I have that pulled up here on screen for you guys, which is that they are actually splitting DC Fandome in 2. So originally, basically, for people, we discussed this, me and TJ did a deep dive on what to expect from Fandome at the end of this Tuesday's episode of Planet Film. So if you guys want to go back, listen to about the last half hour of that show, we talked all about Fandome. And we talked about on that how at Comic-Cons, at San Diego Comic-Con and even smaller ones and stuff, you have different rooms. That's how you're able to have panels going at the same time. Well, apparently enough of the fan base did not like that idea. So basically what Warner Brothers' answer to is that they are going to not have tons of important stuff going on at once. And so their answer to that was they are splitting DC Fandome into 2 days. So basically, the big, huge stuff, which is basically just the movies and the video game news, is still going to be this Saturday. But the TV stuff, some of the smaller stuff, the comics panels, that's going to be pushed to a separate DC Fandome event on Saturday, September 12th. And I believe the only TV show that is staying on Saturday's date is the Flash TV show. I think it's just because that's clearly the biggest TV show that DC has. So it makes sense. That show on itself almost is on the scale of a movie. You know what I mean? And also, there's the chance that maybe they need to have it on the same day as another panel with a very similar name, because they might be some commingling there. I don't know. Once again, that would be amazing if Grant showed up, because
if he does, I hope that's not an announced thing. I hope they don't reveal that until the movie comes out.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me think that they might is the fact that they didn't announce the Ezra Miller thing. The fact that Ezra's cameo was so secretive, I think they might be like, you loved it so much the first time, they're meeting up again, like that, just because of marketing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It just feels like something that Warner would do, but I'm absolutely in your camp. I keep it a secret. If Grant Gustin is about to show up in the third act of this movie to throw a bolt of lightning at somebody or whatever the hell, please just save it until the end, please. Or until the actual film. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on DC Fandom splitting up into two events? We're still getting the big chunk of news, the big important stuff. We're still getting this Saturday. It's just basically some of the smaller panels that aren't going to have as big a reveals, just kind of saved for a separate day for those fans. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea. Definitely probably the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would have to agree. At first, I was a little like, what are you doing? Like, we're so close to the 22nd, and now you're just like splitting it in half. You know what I mean? Like, what the like? At first, I was a little put off by it, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of get it, because it's a one-time thing. Like, I don't know if they're going to be reposting the panels on YouTube. It's a 24-hour thing. They're showing each panel 3 times, and that's it, and that's gone. So I'm not really sure if the need was there to, if really there was somebody that was like, I physically, like, because of their work schedule or something, I can understand that being like, okay, I am not going to be home for the repeat of it, so I have to choose. Do I want to find out what's happening with Grant Gustin's Flash, or do I want to watch the Wonder Woman 84 panel? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of a shitty thing, because it's like, you can't really do anything. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I think splitting it up is a good idea. Going to give each panel kind of its own breathing room. I think it's a good idea. All right. And then we have 2 more stories here. Pretty much 2 quick ones, really. And the first one of which I'm pulling up on screen here is we've known this for quite some time, that the Black Adam film from The Rock has been kind of assembling the JSA, the Justice Society of America, because you've seen, that they are adding, Black Adam is going to be teaming up with Atom Smasher. There's been reports that Jay Garrick is going to be in this movie, and now we have reports that another Justice Society of America character, and just Justice League character as well at some points, which is Hawkman, is reportedly going to be played by Alexander Skarsgård for the Black Adam film. Now, this is just he hasn't signed or anything, but this is another thing that could potentially be announced at the Black Adam panel that's happening this Saturday at DC Fandome. So, Donald, let me just throw it over to you. What do you think of this casting news? And do you think this is something that could potentially be announced on Saturday at that Black Adam panel?
Yes to both. I think it's a good cast. Like the article has a good picture of him. He looks very Hawkmanable, with very little issue. He would look like a very good Hawkman, and I think with it coming out right now, like the rumor, I feel like they'll probably say something about it there, because I bet they probably leaked it purposefully to get hype around it. But third point, I don't really like Hawkman, and I don't really want him in the movie.
Really? Very interesting.
Yeah. Not a Hawkman fan.
Now, did you watch Legends? Are you a Legends fan? I feel like we haven't talked about... Okay.
Legends is the second best Arrowverse show.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. What would you call the first?
Black Lightning.
Okay. See, I watched season 1 of Black Lightning and then I kind of fell off. But I did like it. But I've been meaning to catch up on it. But
Season 3 is great.
for me, I would still put. Well, are we if we're talking still on the air? I would say Legends would be number 1 for me, and then Flash second. I just think Arrow is always going to be my number 1 for me, but it's off the air at this point.
That's fair.
But yeah, Legends, I love that. What did you think of season 1 of Legends? Obviously, it was entirely about Vandal Savage and Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Did you like the character in that show, or were you still
not really? I much preferred Hawkgirl. Like, I like Hawkgirl, Hawkman. I mean, they're the same thing. I like her character more in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. It is one of those things where I'm not really sure. I feel like if you're getting somebody as big name as Alexander Skarsgård for it, I feel like it's going to be a bigger role, especially with not really a spoiler because it's just what the character is. Hawkman is in a immortal person where you could have, because there's been speculation obviously because they're building the Justice Society, that this movie is going to take place a long time ago, not sure how long ago, but it is something where you could bring back Alexander Skarsgård in a modern day movie and just have him be Hawkman and no questions asked, because that's just what the character is, that he lives for eternity basically. Same with Hawkgirl. But yeah, I am personally excited. I'm excited for somebody of the acting caliber of Alexander Skarsgård playing a character in this Black Adam movie, because I think that's really going to build up to it. What I personally want to see, just to throw some Black Adam speculation in this, in the Shazam movie that the Wizard tells Billy, that one person before, we thought we had our champion before, but he betrayed and failed us, that whole type of thing. I want to see this movie be the JSA recruits Black Adam thinking like, oh, we got this awesome new superpower on the team, and then he betrays the team, and then they fight at the end, that it's Black Adam versus the JSA. That would be incredible to me, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense. Why are they building the JSA in a Black Adam movie? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that would be awesome. That if like the whole movie starts and he kind of like almost like The Boys, like with the Seven, like where there's like bad people on that team, like maybe the JSA is like recruiting this guy thinking that he's this new superpower that we're going to have, like no villain's going to be in our way. And then they realize, oh, we kind of accidentally recruited a supervillain. Like that would be awesome.
That's an oopsie.
Exactly. Yeah. Hit him with the okie doke. I'm just excited for the Black Adam movie. For years, people didn't think the Black Adam movie was even happening, and then all of a sudden, like these past couple months, like it seems the momentum on it is just like out of control, and that it's going to be coming sooner rather than later. So
yeah, I've been excited for Black Adam for a long time.
Yeah, because I think The Rock has been attached for something like
2012
5 years,
something.
Or yeah, even more than that. Yeah, I think it was. Even more than 5 years. Yeah, I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago that he was first attached to it, way before Zachary Levi was even in the ballpark of getting cast as Shazam, like way before that. But yeah, I'm going to be interested to see it. I'm not a humongous crazy Hawkman fan. I like the character. I just think it's cool if he's another kind of piece of, if they really are building the JSA in Black Adam. I just think that'd be really cool. And then our last story here is kind of a sad one here. So that is, let me pull it up here. That is that it seemingly hasn't been confirmed yet, but it seemingly is going to be the end of the DC Universe streaming service. So this was the streaming service that gave us Doom Patrol, the Harley Quinn animated show. Titans was obviously the big flagship show when that service first launched. It was basically pitched as, this is, if you are a DC fan, this is going to be all the movies, all the comics, all the shows, everything in one place. And then almost from the beginning, oh, and also I should say, shows like Swamp Thing as well were on there. And then that's where Stargirl first aired as well. Now it's on the CW. Almost immediately, kind of wasn't living up to that pitch, because there was very, very limited selection of movies. They had some good TV shows on there, but it was not all of them, like it was said. And even the comics, which was like their biggest thing that they had going for them, it had a lot of them, but it lacked big, huge events. Like like you could read all of Crisis on there, but like Batman, like Long Halloween wasn't on there. Year One wasn't on there. Like this is, and I'm just talking about at launch. I'm not sure what went on and came off over the past like 2 or 3 years that this thing has been around. But basically, almost for an entire year now, really ever since the cancellation of Swamp Thing, this thing has been petering out. Like everything's been leaving it. They moved Stargirl to CW. They even moved Swamp Thing to CW. They're airing it. I think the first episode of Swamp Thing aired last night, I think, on Wednesday. So it'd be interesting. I loved Swamp Thing. I thought it was amazing. It makes sense now that it got canceled after one season because they don't know what they're doing with this streaming service, which now has ended. So I'd love to see Swamp Thing get resurrected on either HBO Max or CW, same way that Stargirl did, because Stargirl, they just moved it to CW, same kind of way they did with Supergirl back in the day. But yeah, so the story here is that all of the shows, Titans, Doom Patrol, every show that's still running right now, including Harley Quinn animated, they're all moving from DC Universe to HBO Max. They're all being rebranded as HBO Max originals. It's got to be the end, right? What are your thoughts on this? I mean, there's going to be nothing left for this service to exist, so why even have it? Unless you strip it down to just comics, and you make
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, and you make it like $1.99 a month or something, like something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Kind of like the way they have Marvel Unlimited. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's the end of it, or do you think it's going to live on in some other way?
I think it'll probably live on as a comic book only thing, or maybe they'll keep. I don't know what I mean. They're losing. What are they? They're losing everything really. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really for them to still keep on there. So yeah, just comics is really all I would say that would be on there at this point if they keep it going, which isn't bad. I have Marvel Unlimited. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it do a similar thing very easily.
Yeah, I have Marvel Unlimited as well. I think it's very it's a very good idea to have DC do their own thing. Also because there's been massive layoffs at DC Comics, that DC, and I'm not saying that that's like, I don't know if it's due to the economy or what, but that was an ordered layoff by Warner that they got rid of, like, I think it was even thousands of employees. Like they got rid of like 2,000 employees on the DC Comics end of things a couple weeks ago. And DC Comics broke their deal with Diamond Distributors. There's something weird going on with DC Comics. Maybe they're making a play to go all digital. Maybe that's what these three separate things are aligning to become. That DC Comics is going to be the first of the big comics houses to go all digital. Because I mean that's unfortunately, I've worked in a comic book shop. Unfortunately, that comic book shop closed while I worked there. Unfortunately, that's the direction that this is going, is comics are going to an online medium. I mean, most people that go into comic book shops, they're there for Magic cards and Funko Pops. They're not even there for the comic books anymore because it's just so much easier to get them online. For me, what I want to see, I would love to see that happen. If it's going, it saddens me that it would be going all digital, but it would sadden me even more if they just stopped making comics.
There is nothing like the feeling of a good comic book. I still get comics. I mean, I haven't picked them up in a while. I have like a massive backlog that I owe probably $200 to the comic book shop to finally grab or whatever. But like, man, I love flipping through a comic book. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. But I understand that a lot of people don't feel that way anymore. Like I totally get that. I get that that's the direction that the industry is going. I just like I said, I really hope that they can keep the job losses to a minimum and keep the output of comics to a maximum, even if that means it has to go on all digital. But it'll be interesting to see what goes on with that. yeah, so with that, I think that'll do it for our news topics today. So
Real quick, wasn't there a
yeah,
report like probably last year? I don't remember what it was exactly, but I remember there being a report that DC might just stop making comics in general. Like,
yeah, that's been a report. That's why it's like
okay,
worrying me. Yeah, no, that
okay.
has definitely been a report over the past couple of months, even I think. But yeah, I think the first we heard of that was last year. But yeah, so with that, we're just going to take a quick break here, and then we will be right back in just a moment to get into our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. deep dive. So we will be right back, folks. All right, and welcome back, everybody. So now we are in the second half of the show here. We are going to be diving deep into the well, no pun intended for season one enjoyers. We're going to be diving deep in. That was a deep cut for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to be diving
Oh yeah.
deep into the well of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here. We are going to be telling you, why should you watch the show? There's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel like got a real bad rap in the early seasons of being just kind of samey, network television, but it really grew into its own. So we're going to be going ahead and kind of recommending the show to you. Then we're going to be doing two kind of fun things. We're going to be giving our top 10 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. And then we're going to be going over, for those who haven't seen the show is really, really split up into different arcs or pods, as they call them. Which is basically just like groups of episodes that are through together. Like there was a Ghost Rider arc, that kind of thing. And then after that, we're gonna kind of close out the show for you guys who haven't seen the show yet or don't want to be spoiled by it. And then we're just gonna go into our full series spoiler talk. Just bring up anything that we want to kind of talk about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Donald, why don't you go ahead and start off? Just, why do you think, for the people out there who have heard that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Isn't that good, or that it didn't have a great start, why should people out there give it a second chance and give it a watch once it hits Disney Plus later this month?
Well, I think the best thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that it hits so many different genres, especially in this last season, but I'm not going to get too much into it, but they hit so many different genres in so many different ways while also like combining them all so well. Like it's based on a superhero universe, so obviously it's got like your superhero aspect in there, but it's a spy agency really. So you got those two different genres mashing together, and you have to figure out how kind of those work together, and it flows together way better than one would expect, except for in the first season. I just think it hits other genres, like obviously sci-fi, because superheroes themselves are sci-fi, but different areas of sci-fi. They have a lot of just nerdy things in there that I think anyone who's a fan of superheroes would love. I know the first season is a rough watch because I still don't like it to this day, but if you can get past the first season, 2 through 7, great.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% would agree with that. I think, just one second here. I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a show that deserves a bigger audience than it even has had in its run. I think genuinely, for the people hello, can't talk. For the people who tuned in after the first Avengers movie, being like, "Oh wow, they're giving Coulson, his own show. Let's see what this is about." And then we're kind of like, "What is this? I don't know who this lady is that Phil knows from his past. Who's this hacker girl? I don't know what's going on. What is this? A CW guy with his haircut and his abs and whatever? Like who are these British kids? I get that, because that's kind of how I was. I was like, what is this? I was like, this is in the MCU. I was like, I can't even remember if the MCU was a term back then when it started, but I was like, this is set like in the same universe as Iron Man. Like this is like cheap television nonsense. I think the biggest thing that hampered season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was Winter Soldier, was because what happens in that movie completely derails the entire show. And so I think they've talked about this. What their plan originally was for season 1 had to be thrown out the window. So I think they were just kind of treading water for like the first half of season 1 until what happens in, I don't know why I'm acting like it's a spoiler. Hydra is inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's, if you're worried about a spoiler for a movie that came out 16 movies ago and 7 years ago, probably isn't the show for you. But yeah, Hydra is a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoiler alert. I just think it really hampered and kind of watered down the first half of the season. Like, I remember a big thing that was kind of the coolest part of the first half of season 1 was the cleanup from Thor: The Dark World. If you've seen Thor: The Dark World, when Malekith's ship basically just slices through London, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. team is the one who goes in and has to clean up after it, basically. And I feel like people thought, oh, is this what this show is going to be? Like, something crazy is going to happen in the movies, and then, like, here come Coulson and his merry men to clean it up and get everything back to normal and Men in Black people's memories away or whatever the hell. And I think as soon as that switch gets flipped from what happens in Winter Soldier, I think that it goes crazy after that. I just think the quality just goes up and up and up and up and up. I think there's a little bit of like a slump again in like season 4, but then from there on, I mean, I think it just builds and builds and builds to just a fantastic conclusion. And I honestly, at this point, I never thought I would say it about this show, but especially after this last season, I put it right up there with like things on the level of Arrow. I even put it up there. This last season, honestly, I put that on the level of like Umbrella Academy type thing. You know what I mean? Like I would put it on that level. I think the show extremely came into its own, especially in the later seasons. Yeah, that would be why I would say to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I just think that it's a show that just builds on itself and builds on itself over and over again, and just keeps getting better. And like they take some missteps and then they kind of come back in line. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we'll talk about that when we rank the arcs. We'll probably throw in maybe like if we didn't like one or something. Like we could talk about that, or we could just talk about what we didn't like, I guess. But with that, yeah, that's what I would say for why you should watch it. And now that it's coming, now that the full show is done and it's the whole thing's getting added to Disney Plus this summer, there's no better time to watch it because it'll all be in one place, so you could just sit and watch the whole thing through. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get on to the ranking of our top 10 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. So the way that we are going to do this is we are going to go through and do one apiece here. So I think I'll go off with my number 10, then Donald will give his number 10. Now, if Donald, if anybody out there listening has listened to the top 10 show, it's going to be kind of like their punting system, where if Donald has somebody that's my 10, but it's Donald's like 4, he'll say, let's save it. And then we'll go to it when it's at his 4, because we'll talk about it on the person who has it higher on their list. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and launch right off here. I'll say first, too, though, for me at least, this list was very quick to throw together. Did you find that as well?
Yes, there were maybe like 4 other characters that were left off the list.
Yeah,
there were less characters that were memorable than I thought.
Yeah, I would be like I think I can safely say we're not going to be having like any Victoria Hand on this list or John Garrett. But well, maybe we'll see. So I'll go ahead and say my number 10. My number 10 character is not a new character, but a new addition to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I will say my number 10 is Daniel Sousa. That is my number 10. Do you have him on your list?
No, he wasn't on the list.
All right, well, I'll just go through. I'll just say real quick. I think I loved him, obviously, in Agent Carter, which is obviously where he came from. He was a great supporting character on Agent Carter. It was something where when Endgame came out, a very particular group of people immediately went, what about Sousa, Peggy? What are you doing? Hello. Because a lot of people thought that show ended with just the two of them getting together, and he was the husband that Peggy talked about in Winter Soldier and stuff. But this show offered an opportunity to kind of bring him back and kind of give a redemption and what do you want to call it? Justice to that character, and also wrapped up his character with a nice, bow on that story. And so, like I said, a new addition to the show in the last season, but a very, very good one. I almost didn't put him on the list because he's from a different show, but I just think his impact and his use in this show was worthy to make the list. So who would you got at number 10?
So I do want to say about Sousa, he was very close to making it on the list because I loved him in Agent Carter, but I didn't feel like he wasn't in S.H.I.E.L.D. long enough to give him a spot in there. However, this person I have at number 10 also was not there very long, and that is Nathaniel Malik. Did he make your list?
Oh, okay. No, he did not.
I got some Nathaniel Malik level people on this list that I just loved. I don't know how much I can really say about him that doesn't, without spoiling things, but at least in his most recent outing, I'll say that his most recent outing really showed him in a very good light. He was just a great on-screen presence. He was a very ominous antagonist, and it's just I honestly kind of wanted him to win because he was so charismatic in like a weird way, like a cult leader kind of way, that it was just really mesmerizing to watch him on the screen.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say I don't think I wouldn't put Nathaniel Malick anywhere near this list. That would just be mine. But I will say, out of all of the how do you want to call them? Out of all of the like so-so villains on the show, you know what I mean? Like, because this show has some like real big like bads and stuff, and then there are like the Nathaniel Malicks and like John Garrett and that type of stuff. He is up there. He's up there with like John Garrett for me, which I think, I mean, as big of a character, I'm saying John Garrett season 1, not
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just wouldn't make my list, but I totally understand and I get it. So my number 9 here, I think this is going to be our first you have this person higher, if I just had to guess. This is somebody who joined the show in the second half of the series, but has been a welcome presence in the last few seasons, and that person is Enoch.
He's much higher on my list.
Much higher? Okay, yeah. So
he's like 6.
Okay, we can talk about him now if you want. Yeah, because it's in the bottom half still. Yeah, all right. So Enoch, for me, I absolutely hated putting him this low. I think it's just because like he's just one above Sousa for me, because I feel like he became like especially in the last season and especially in the last couple episodes, he became like the glue of the team. You know what I mean? Like he was the one that like everyone could count on and rely on and everything. And especially for being which not really a spoiler, it's just who the character is, like being a robot. Like it was something that, you know, it was interesting to have that, and it wasn't just like, what is emotion? Like it wasn't like something like Data-esque from Star Trek that like got boring. It was like he had a real arc and he had real moments, really, really great moments. And I just thought it was just a really, really great character. And then his role right up to the end of the show, it was just one of the most impactful characters on the overall story. That's what I'll say. I mean, what would you say for Enoch, having him at number 6?
Yeah, everything you said. It's just he was just so entertaining. Again, like Nathaniel Malick, I could not look away in any scene that Enoch was in. He just stole every scene for me, honestly, with his very dry, not even humor, just because he is a robot, so he's very dry in everything he says, but it came off so well, and just like the whole dichotomy of him and Fitz, their friendship. Oh, I loved them on screen together, and I wish there was more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree, especially his especially like you said, his relationship and his chemistry with Fitz. Just really, really good. I threw a picture of him up on screen for the people who don't know him. But for me, I will also throw up a picture on screen here. And that person who is my number... Let me get a good picture. There we go. Who is my number 8 on the list. Joined the show pretty early on, relatively early on. And just
I
really...
didn't do my number 9 yet.
Oh, crap. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yeah. So you're number 9. You're number 9.
You probably have him much higher. Ghost Rider.
Not on this list.
Not on the list. Yo, this is going to be
not on this list.
Not on this list. You don't have Ghost Rider on the list. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, not on this list.
Maybe I was just thinking about this in a different light than you were. I don't know. But, Robbie Reyes.
No, it's good, yeah. I'll tell you, if it was a top, honestly, if it was a top 12, Ghost Rider would have been on there.
Yeah. I don't know. He wasn't there long enough to say a lot about. I have a lot of people that weren't on the show super long, but left a lot of an impact with me personally.
Yeah.
Which Robbie Reyes was one of those people. I think is it season 4? He shows up. Is it?
Yes, the first part, because
Yes.
he's like the first
Yes.
pod in season 4.
Yeah, I hate that pod term. I hate
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So yeah, he's in the first pod of season 4, but I think he's in. I don't know. Anyway, he's that's his big arc is the first pod of season 4.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's spoiler for the arcs list. It's gonna be in there. We're gonna talk about that more there. But I love Ghost Rider. I like the movies are fine. If it wasn't Nicolas Cage, I would probably like them more.
Yeah.
But the Ghost Rider is an awesome character, and I was so glad to see that he was on TV and he was getting probably the best performance he's gotten in anything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I 100% agree.
I was so excited to watch the Ghost Rider show, and then it got canceled, and I was so sad.
Mhm.
I wanted to watch more Robbie Reyes for multiple seasons where he was the main character. He's for people that have seen like the Nicolas Cage movies, it's still Ghost Rider, but it's a different take on him because it's like the spirit of vengeance gets passed down from person to person.
Mhm.
And it's just I don't know. I'm not good at articulating my love of these characters because there's just so much in my head about them at all times. But just like his family life is very intriguing, and like his whole backstory is very very well developed for the short time he gets on screen.
Mhm.
And just the impact he has on the show, it's huge. That's just great.
Yeah.
Loved him on there.
And I will say, I genuinely think, in turn, because what Donald is talking about is he was going to have a Hulu show, which was going to be his own, Ghost Rider show. I genuinely think that all of those Hulu things, just like we were talking about on the DC side of things, getting moved over to either HBO Max or CW, I 100% believe that those canceled Hulu projects, including Runaways, including Ghost, including Cloak and Dagger, I really, really think maybe Cloak and Dagger would probably just be folded into Runaways, but I genuinely think that those are going to find new life either on ABC or on Disney Plus, because it was kind of Kevin Feige finally got Marvel TV back under his umbrella. I think it was just he had to purge everything that was going on to kind of start again. And I think he's going to probably bring stuff like that back. I could almost guarantee you, I don't think that'll be the last time you see Gabriel Luna as Ghost Rider. I genuinely don't.
I disagree with you. I don't think we're seeing him again. And it
Really?
pains me to say it. Yeah. I don't think the Hulu shows are coming back. I don't think any of the shows are coming back around it. I mean, if anything, they might do a movie on them, but I don't think they're coming back as much as I wish they would. If I could get another season of Runaways and a Ghost Rider show, I would be ecstatic because those are probably my two favorite shows of the bunch. But
Wow, yeah, I just okay, yeah, that's interesting. I really think that they will in some way come back, but we'll see. Because there's been a lot of talk where Kevin Feige just like doesn't really care about the TV shows, but it's never been really confirmed. I think it's just that mainly he didn't care about the people running the TV shows. I think that's probably more what it was.
it's fair.
But let us go on to my number 8, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So, like I was saying before, this is somebody who came onto the show, I think in season 3. And that person is Yo-Yo. I put Yo-Yo at number 8 on my list. At first, I very much did not care for her character. When they were kind of putting together like the little superhero squad of like her and a couple of the others, and then I think really the character kind of built a lot when they did that Marvel one-shot Slingshot, just about like her, and I think it was like her, and I think Coulson was in that too. I think the character got a big boost of energy from there. And I think ever since then, I think she finally kind of settled into the show in like season 5, like with the I think it was season 5. I think the future one,
Lost in Space Pod.
yeah, yes. Yeah. I think she really came into her own with that, with having to face some of the difficulties and issues that she had in the lighthouse. especially with like her powers kind of getting the team into trouble. I think she had a lot of space to grow. And then again, she's another one that just seemingly every single character in season 7 got their due. Like she really really came into her own in season 7. You know, getting over some of her handicaps. You know, getting her relationship with I won't spoil who it's with just because I feel like we might talk about it if we talk about the other person. I don't know. But getting that, you know, under control, because that was a big sticking point with both of them throughout the series. Yeah, I just think number 8 would be Yo-Yo for me. Do you have her on her list? I forgot. I didn't even ask.
No, she didn't make it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I understand that. Like, I know, for instance, like my mom, like she doesn't really care for her, or didn't really care.
I love Yo-Yo.
Yeah, I haven't asked my mom since we watched the finale if her opinions changed on that. But yeah, I definitely know that some people just don't care for her. But yeah, like you said though, even people that like care for her, like it's top 10. It got to make cuts somewhere. So I totally understand that. So who are you gonna go with for your number 8 on your list?
I'm assuming this has to be on your list. Ward?
Is that Grant Ward?
Yeah, Grant Ward. Is there more than one Ward?
No, that was a joke.
Okay.
We will talk about him later.
Okay.
So then we would go to
your 7.
My 7. Okay, so my 7 is dun da da da. That would have been timed better if I pulled up a picture of him faster. Dun da da da. There he is, Deke Shaw, ladies and gentlemen. Deke Shaw is my number 7. Oh, you guys couldn't see Donald's face just then, but he just made a real interesting face. So I'll get his opinion on. I'm assuming why he's not on your list.
Oh no, he's number 5.
Oh, okay. I thought that was
a
face.
Deke. No, I love Deke.
I genuinely, it looked. I know I had a picture of Deke pulled up, so you guys couldn't see Donald, but I genuinely thought that was a look of like, ooh, he's on there. No, yeah. I'll let you go first since he's my 7. He's your 5. So go first with why he's your 5.
It's probably a whole lot of bias in with it. I see a lot of myself in Deke, honestly. He's probably one of the characters I can like. I can't think of the word. I relate to the most.
Yeah, relate to.
I don't know. He's like the everyman. Kind of. I mean, not so much in later seasons with his just big brain power, but he's very much the everyman character with everyone else around. So he's very, very easily likable. And I'm a little upset about things that happen in season 7 because there's that I ship a couple that I'm mad does not get together.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, no, that's Zima. Zima's all I can say.
Zima, man, that's all I can say. Well, the fact that we got somebody in chat saying love Deke. For me, me and my mom always joke because for those who don't know, we've talked about it on Planet Film before. You know, we live, me, TJ, and Donald too. We live up in Western New York. I specifically live I live in a town which is off of Lake Ontario, which is almost entirely the fictional town of which I can't even remember the name of, where the lighthouse is located is based in, because it is a fictional town in upstate New York off of Lake Ontario. So the Zima with that whole town was very like, that was where like we first like it was like a big instant what do you want to call it, like an understanding and a respect for Deke when he was, because Deke comes from a different place and was kind of experiencing a lot of stuff for the first time there, which I just that whole arc with him where he first comes to the lighthouse. Yeah, like the actual lighthouse, the full lighthouse. The first time, and he's doing the Zima and he's like walking around and he doesn't know what the hell's going on. That really just like endeared me to this character, and it only built from there. And I absolutely agree with you. I wasn't as mad about it come the finale. But when the ship first sank, if you will, I was very upset. I was like, you can't do that. I was like, oh my god, I was livid. But yeah, Deke, amazing character, really good, and also a very late addition. You know, I think he joined in season 5, right?
Yeah, he joined right after Enoch.
Yeah, yeah, directly after the diner thing, because yeah.
Yeah.
Really great. Yeah, for only being on there for 3 seasons of it, really made a huge impression. Especially he and another person get basically their own little solo episode in season 7, and it's one of the best episodes of season 7, hands down, to me at least. Which is that episode actually that is in my on the.
Oh, is it that
there.
one?
Yeah. That's great episode. So then we throw to your number 7, correct? Because Deke was your 5.
Yes, 7. That's gonna be General Talbot.
Talking about Glenn. Talking a little Glenn Talbot action.
Good old Glenn.
All right. Well, I will tell you.
Did he manage to make yours?
I will tell you. We will be talking about Glenn in a little bit here.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, we will be talking about Glenn in a little bit here. Every iteration of Glenn. So all right. So where does that leave us? So then it would be my 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So my 6. I don't know if you want to save this for later, because this is a kind of a cheat. My number 6 is the character of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is Fitzsimmons.
Oh yeah, we're gonna wait on that.
Okay. All right. So we're waiting on that. So then, hit me with your 6? What's your 6?
We already talked about my boy Enoch.
Oh, Enoch. Okay. So then, what is your 4?
You mean 5, which would be Deke. But yeah. My 4 would be the next one we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
What's your 5 and 6? I don't want to skip too far ahead.
Oh, you're right. So 5 is, we can talk about now. 5 is Ward.
Okay.
Yeah. So 5 is Ward. So just every single iteration of this character. Let me just throw him up on screen for a second.
He gets one of the best character arcs in the show.
Yes, I would say he gets one of the... Why? There's no, like, high-quality images of Ward. But I'll pull him up. But yeah, just he... Hands down, he gets... Like you said, he has maybe the most satisfying arc on the show. Just because from start to finish, you know, he is very much a part of the team in season 1. Then he kind of, for various reasons, he is not a member of the team in season 2. And kind of the character takes off from there. And then season 2 for Ward, we joked a little bit about the well earlier. There's some major stuff going on with Ward in season 2. And I think one of the best things, somebody who I don't even know if we have mentioned by name at this point, except like during this list portion, which is Coulson. His relationship with Coulson is like phenomenal. Everything that happens with the two of them, their back and forths, their issues is very, very good. So I'll keep it short with that for Ward. What do you want to say about Ward?
I just since we're talking about his relationship with Coulson when they're on the planet together. Let's go with that. When they're on that planet together, that's a very good character moment for both of them. But are you including the back half of season 3 when you're talking about Ward here, or would you consider that different?
Are we talking about a different
We're talking about an arc with a different version,
like a very different version.
Yes, a very different version.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you included that along with it, because I personally would.
I'm including that, and I'm also including framework as well. I would include that.
I wasn't including framework versions of people in the... Well, I guess I kind of am of one of my later things.
Yeah, I would include the framework only because it speaks to this. It's the same actor playing the same character. It's just a different iteration. That's why I included
Okay.
it, because to me, it's that when I think of Grant Ward, or when I think of anybody that was in that arc, I think of that version of him, because I think that
Okay.
that is an extension of the character. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I thought of it. But yeah, I think specifically if we're talking framework, I think Ward has the hands down best thing in the framework. I think maybe Fitz is up there as
Yeah,
well.
Fitz.
Yeah, I think maybe Fitz is up there as well. But I think other than that, which are kind of two sides of the same coin of each other, really, with their roles in the framework. I would, yeah, Ward is definitely up there. Very, 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 very good. If he had lasted longer with the show, if he had been in more throughout it, I think he would have been even higher on this list. But yeah, that's what I would say. So
Did you do your
your
6? I think we skipped your 6.
no, that was Fitzsimmons.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So then
your 4?
your 4, my 4. Wouldn't it be your 4?
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I'm gonna say it's your 4. I feel like we've really messed up with the jumping ahead and whatnot. But yeah,
Well,
do
it's
your
okay.
4 first.
So my 4 would be agent/director Philip. No, just kidding. It would be that would be Alfonso McKenzie. Mac is my number 4. Is he on yours?
Didn't make it.
Didn't make the list. Ooh.
I love Mac. There's so many characters I love that, but it's
No,
just
I
like
know. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
it's probably because some of these characters didn't have a big showing in the last season, and that's what's so fresh in my mind. So that might be why a lot of things are the way they are.
I'll tell you. There's a big character that is not on my list at all, which I think I'm gonna get flack for. But Mac, to me, I just think it's actually funny that you say that. I think that he was one of the best parts of season 7. I thought that Mac in season 7 was fantastic, especially the episode with him and Deke. I think that one again. I think that episode was fantastic. I really think, and also the episode immediately before that, with what happens to him in that episode.
Yeah.
Having to do that, even though it's not technically, but having to do that and watch yourself do that is like, oh my god. And I believed every second of it with the actor whose name unfortunately slips my mind right now. Let me pull up a picture of him, by the way. But what are your or you didn't have him on the list, that's right. But
Yeah. He's a great family man. I'll definitely say that.
yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. But yeah, that would be my number 4 would be Mac. Let me just pull him up here. There he is. There's Mac. All right. So then that brings us to your 4, correct?
I'm worried if this is the person you don't have on your list. Is it Daisy? Is Daisy the person you don't have on there?
Oh, Daisy is your number 4?
Yeah, she's my number 4.
No, we will talk about her later.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that brings us to my number 3, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at the top 3 now.
Yeah, so that would be Glenn Talbot.
Some good Talbot.
Yeah, so let's talk about him now. Got him up there on screen for everybody. So I just think Talbot, and could you remind me again, what number was he on your list?
He was 7?
7. Okay, yeah, so to me, I just think he was one of the best side characters that then slowly got a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger role to basically, like, he has the most, like, crescendoing character arc where it just, like, he's in it very, very little, and then it just builds and snowballs and snowballs and more episodes and more screen time, and then the thing happens, and it's just Glenn Talbot City for that season. What was that, season 4? That was the end of season 4, right?
No, that was the end of season 5.
Oh, that was the end of season. Oh, that's right, because then they come back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just fantastic. And like you said, the end of season 5. So he was on it for, I think, 3 or 4 seasons. I think he started in season.
It was either 2 or 3.
Season,
he started.
Yeah, I think he started in season 2. But just all his ups and downs and his mistrust and then his trust and just everything, and the actor, like, just so good. And then we won't talk about it in detail because it is big spoilers, but just his
Big
end,
spoilers.
his end. The last 5 or 6 episodes of him are just fantastic, just really really
Yes.
great. So all right, let's throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on
What?
Talbot and why you put him on?
Oh yeah. So the last 5 or 6 episodes are my favorite part of Talbot because I've been waiting since season 1 to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, and even before season 1, just like in general, I've been waiting to see that
that
on
character.
screen in forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's such a good character, such an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
So hard not to spoil stuff when I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But Talbot, he has the great. There's really no downs in his character except for bad things that might happen to him. But just ups. It's just,
Sometimes
he's got a great.
Sometimes he cuts his hair too short. That's the only downside I would say about his character. Sometimes it gets too short, too much just on top. That's the only downside.
He's the military man.
Great mustache as
Oh,
well.
wonderful mustache.
Wonderful mustache. And again, it comes down to, a lot of these characters we talk about because he is the main character of the show, is a lot of these characters' relationship with Coulson. Is the back and forth that they have, and sometimes the struggle and stuff that they have to respect each other's authority, I would say, is very interesting. What do you have a face? What is the face?
So, well, you said Coulson's the main character, and I feel like I have to argue that. I think Daisy's the main character.
Okay, when I said it, that's the only exception that I will accept. I feel like they are co-leads. I feel like it's a Rey Kylo Ren situation.
Well, only because of season 6, I would say Coulson's not the main character.
Yes, that is true. But also then season 1. I feel like season 1 and season 6 are a trade-off in both directions.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I feel like it is like a Rey Kylo Ren thing where it's like they're like co-leads. You know what I mean? Like they're basically co-leads of the show.
She's the female lead, he's the male lead.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so that'll do it for my number 3, who is Glenn Talbot. So we throw to your number 3, right?
Speaking of male leads, Coulson at number 3.
Philip J. Coulson at number 3.
Philip J. Coulson, agent/director Philip J. Coulson.
All right, we will talk about him in a little bit here.
Yo, you're never gonna believe who's number 1 on my list. That's all I'm saying.
I'm worried.
Yo,
this man's gonna say Nick Fury, isn't he?
I didn't think of him on the list as a joke.
I was also. Yeah, he'd be my number 11, Nick Fury, for his 3 and like a half episodes of appearing on the show, if that. Nick Fury and Maria Hill are my 1 and 2. All right, so my number 2 then is Daisy Johnson.
Yeah,
Are we
talking Daisy?
Are we talking about that now or later?
Well, she's my number 4, if you remember.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, yeah, that's right. Wow, that's crazy.
I wouldn't say you wouldn't believe number 1 if it was Daisy.
Yeah, that's true, actually. All right, yeah. So, Daisy Johnson, like we said, besides Coulson, undoubtedly the main character of the show.
We should mention she is known as Sky in the first 2 seasons. So, and if anyone only saw those 2, so you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, because she doesn't get Daisy until she meets her dad, right?
Yeah, I think that's season 3 is when it's officially changed. Maybe 2.5.
Yeah. Ooh, there we go. There she is. So Daisy Johnson / Sky the hacker. I don't know what you could say about. We're getting into main character territory here. There's really not much you can really say. She's just the characterization of her, and her arc is incredible. Like the absolute like ascension to Coulson's like number 1 trusted person. I would say there would be another person that he would trust more than her, but that other person and Coulson have a little bit of a tough time sometimes.
Shit.
But Yeah, but she, it's okay. You're not on screen right now, but he's having some
Okay, cool. My
there we go.
just like ran across and screwed up everything.
Oh, no problem. He's good. But yeah, I mean, Daisy Johnson just fantastic. Once again, Chloe Bennett's performance incredible. The characterization fantastic. We will definitely be talking more about her towards the end with how and where do we want to see these characters again. But let's go ahead and I'll throw it over to Donald with his thoughts. What are your thoughts on Daisy being number 4 for you?
I love her. I love her so much. Out of all the people in my top 5, she's like one of 2 that I would like to see continue on and do other stuff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I definitely want to see her in some other capacity, which we will talk about later.
Absolutely. All right, so then what do you still have left?
I've got number 2 and number 1. Obviously, number 1's Coulson, since you said we'll talk about him later.
So, all right, so go with your number 2.
Number 2. All right, Fitz. Wonderful, wonderful Fitz.
Okay.
Yeah, when you put him down like 7 or whatever you had him, I was shocked. 6.
Well, I had both. Okay. I had the cheat because I had both of them at 6. I had Fitzsimmons, so it's both of them.
Oh, so I don't have Simmons on here at all.
Really?
Yeah,
oh my! Fitz. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, it's fitting. We can talk about him at the same time. So
I only like Simmons because I love Fitz. So just Simmons couldn't make it on the list.
Interesting. Wow, yeah.
The
I think I would have said that was true until season 7. I think I would have agreed with you, but I think she proved that she can hold her own in season 7.
Yes, no, that's very fair, very fair. But so we're gonna talk about this in a second. But in the when we talk about our arcs in a minute, the season 7's on there, but it's lower than it should be because there was a lack of Fitz.
Yeah.
And I very much dislike that because I love Fitz. But yeah, no, Fitz is great. He's the smart man of the group with Simmons. They each have their different jurisdictions of the scientific community. Mm-hmm. But Fitz, I always preferred more ever since I think it's the end of season 1. The thing that happens that kind of gives him his own character away from Simmons. There's the stuff in season 3 that kind of helps him stand on his own. Comes in.
Right?
That's
what you're talking about with what happens.
He says, "Hey, Fitz, you're the director now."
That's exactly.
He doesn't say that.
No.
But the stuff that happens at the beginning of season 3, the framework character, and like what that does for him, just even
his,
in the future,
his psyche with the framework in general, not even just his great performance in the framework, but
I'm
just
talking about like what happens in season 6 and 7 because of the framework.
Yeah, really, really good. But yeah, I would absolutely agree everything you said about Fitz, and then I would just put. To me, I couldn't separate them. Like, I just couldn't, like, in my brain, I couldn't do it. Like, because they're just so intertwined. Like, they're basically, to me at least, it's like when they're first introduced, it's like they're one agent.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's Fitzsimmons. No, I'm She Simmons.
Yeah. Okay, so who... Oh, well,
actually, Can we do my one first? Because we'll probably say more about yours. If we're jumping to the ones now.
Yeah. We can go with yours first. That's fine. So I'm excited to hear this.
This is gonna be a shocking pick, and there's a whole lot I'm gonna say about this to kind of explain why he's number 1. It is Lincoln.
Really?
Yes. But
all right.
It's not even so much that I love the character of Lincoln. There's a lot of backstory that I'm gonna get into.
I thought you were gonna say Andrew. And I was going to be like, whoa.
Andrew? Who's Andrew? Yeah. Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, wow.
What if I would have just said Billy?
Billy. Yeah, that's another one too. My number 1 is Gideon Malik. No.
Okay. So Lincoln, let me explain this. So, this is very unrelated to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. why I love him, but I made this. I've written this own superhero story of mine that I've written over the years, many years ago. That's what I'm going to talk about. In 2010, 2011, I made this character named Lincoln, who is the exact same as Lincoln on screen. And the fact that like basically this character that I'd written years before was basically on screen in the show that I watched, even though obviously they didn't go into my Google Drive and steal my character, but it's just like they're literally the same character. And it's because of that I can't like not put Lincoln at number one, because it feels like a creation of my own, even though it's not. I'm not taking credit for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I wrote a very similar, if not exact, character years before he was on screen, which is just mind-blowing to me. So I can't not put him on here. But even regardless, he is, and let me explain for the people who probably don't watch, because he is a more minor character. He's an Inhuman. He has electric powers, and he's just kind of a badass for the most part while he's still there.
Yeah,
he's a very fun character, even regardless of my very biased love for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll say, I mean, obviously he's not on my list, but I'll say, you know, for the time that he was on the show, I really liked the character. I think he really he was the second big ship with Daisy. I think he really helped in the transition of Sky to Daisy, and the transition out of, you know, Daisy's whole thing with Ward. I think Lincoln as a character is a great character, but I think his more important thing was that he was a great catalyst to really bring her from that Sky persona into Daisy, to bring her into her own. I think she wouldn't have been able to do that without Lincoln, and with what Lincoln did to her, or not to her, but like for her, and did for the team and everything. So yeah, I mean, he's a great character. Yeah, that was joking. Now, he's nowhere near the level of like Andrew. Like, he's way above like that. But like, yeah, but he's one that like he might not have been on there as long, but he had, I think, the most impact with the least amount of screen time to the characters on the show. Yeah. So then, as we said, my number one, your number three.
Yeah, my number three. Obviously, it's the woman in the red dress.
Obviously, no, it's actually it's the cellist. It's Phil's girlfriend from the movies. It's the cellist. No, it's actually Rosalind Pierce. No, it is.
It's Hale.
Yes, it is. Bum-ba-da-da. Here he comes, Philip J. Coulson. He is, for me, my number one character on the show. I just think every iteration of him. Sarge, bottom of the list. I would say every iteration of him on the show is just so fantastic, and the fact that I was really worried that the way that he is in season 7, I was worried at first that it was going to be a very like, oh, but I don't really count this, you know what I mean? But then the conversation that he has with which, by the way, we should actually talk about the one glaring omission that I thought you were going to give me hell for not including, which is May. I thought that you were going to give me crap for not having May on the list, but you didn't even have her either. So it's, I mean, I love May. It's just she with these other people, I just didn't. I don't know.
She has the worst character arc, I would say. She's the same character for the most part through the whole thing. But there's like a few things here and there, but she definitely has very little.
Like for we can just talk about her for a quick second, like even though she's not on, just because she is such a big part of the show. Yeah. Like honestly, like jokes aside, like her stuff with Andrew is like good, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the whole Lash situation, like look of the little character. Girl. Yeah, like that stuff, like in the very first season and even the second season. That was really, really good. And her with Jia Ying at like Sanctuary or not Sanctuary, what's it called?
Afterlife.
Afterlife, yeah. Sanctuary's Thanos' ship. At Afterlife, and what happens with the two of them, and then when that comes back in season 7 too, with May at Afterlife in season 7, I think those are really great moments. But you're right, she a lot happens to her. She just kind of stays the same. I think season 7 she has the most amount of arc. Just because something happens to her and she has a massive character shift. I think for the better, because it makes her more, you know, human. She's more personable and stuff. She kind of comes out of her shell more. But I don't know. You can't really talk. I mean, I don't even know what to say about Coulson. It's just he is the reason the show exists. He has for good reason. Yeah, he has been in the MCU since day one, literally day one. This show wouldn't exist without him. I think the partly the MCU wouldn't exist without him, because it's the same thing with everything in that Iron Man movie. If there was one thing off about that movie, it wouldn't have done well, and then Paramount would have gotten all those characters back if that movie flopped. And then all of this would be nothing. Yeah, all of this would be nothing. He's fantastic. He's Phil. I don't know what to say. His first name is Agent. What do you think? What are your thoughts on Philip J. Coulson, agent/director Philip J. Coulson?
He is amazing with all the different, not different characters, but all the different characters he plays on the show, like all the different
iterations of him.
Yeah, all the different iterations of Coulson on the show are just chef's kiss. If this was a food.
Yes, absolutely. Honestly, I think for me at least, I think that's all I'm going to say about him for now, just because we are, I think, about to talk about him quite a bit. So with these, we're not going to go into a full thing. I think we're just going to read off the lists that we have, because then the section after that is where we're just going to be talking about the whole show, so we can just talk in more depth, whatever we want to. So why don't you go? You just do your top 5. So these are going to be our top 5 arcs of the show, which we've talked about. You've heard us talk about so far that the show's really kind of segmented into different arcs or pods or whatever you want to call them.
Do you want me to just run? Do you want me to run down just my whole 5, or go back and forth again?
No, just run down your whole 5. Do 5 to 1,
okay.
And then we can go from there. Yeah.
All right. So I'll also try and mention which pods they are if I can remember. So at number 5, I have the Hive pod, which I think is the back half of season 3. Number 4 is all of season 7, because it's all own pod. Is that the one that you were talking about that was basically all one season?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then Agents of Hydra, which is back half of season 4, I think.
Yep.
Ghost Rider being the first half of season 4 at number 2, and Lost in Space being the first half of season 5.
Wow. Okay, so I will say this: we have almost identical lists in the complete wrong order. I'll say that. Okay. There is one on here that you don't have though, which is 5 for me is the Graviton arc.
That was number 6. I did list them all. That was number 6.
Yeah, so 5 for me is that. 4 for me is season 7, which pained me. But just if we're talking arcs, I think season 7, because it's so big, it was kind of hard to figure out where to put it. Basically, you know what I mean? Because my top 3, they're so concise and tight, stories in on themselves. They literally could be movies, basically. So then we're gonna go number 3, Ghost Rider. Number 2, Agents of Hydra. And number 1, Lost in Space.
Lost in Space is so good.
So good. So good. So that is our arcs ranked for that. So if you do not mind spoilers, feel free to listen on. We're probably going to talk, maybe 15, 20 more minutes, if that, just going full spoiler, just kind of bringing up whatever we want to bring up. And then after that, we're going to be talking about where we want to see from these characters again. That'll also be spoilers, because we're going to have to talk about, where the characters end up. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if there's anybody watching who hasn't finished the show, or doesn't want to be spoiled about the show because they think they might watch it, sign off here. We'll say the tagline for this show, which, for those who watch the other shows know, I always say a quote for a tagline. I decided to go with this show is going to be stay safe and always remember the night is darkest just before the dawn. So we'll see you guys. If you don't want to be spoiled for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we'll see you in the next show, where we're going to be breaking down everything coming out of DC Fandome. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and full spoilers for the rest of the episode here. We're just going to launch right into a full spoiler talk of the series as a whole. So let's just start, I think, at the end. So let's just start with season 7. What did you think about season 7? What are some of your favorite moments from season 7?
it needed more fits, and the time loop episode was phenomenal. I love Groundhog Day episodes, but that one in particular, oh, so good, so good. The way that it ends with Enoch slowly dying out on the floor after just like Enoch will need that. I forget what it is exactly, but the basically his heart. Enoch, we need your heart to fix the time drive. And he's like, okay, and he's just already pulled it out of his chest. He's just like, oh yeah, my friends need this, but it'll kill me. Yeah, fine, yeah, I'll do it. That's why Enoch's so high on my list. Now I can actually say it. Like that moment, really. Oh my god, Enoch became so human in that moment.
Exactly. I think that's and for me, what I'll say is like, I think that a big thing of it is the separation of Enoch from a character like Data in Star Trek Next Generation. I think the difference between those characters is like Data at times was just so, I feel, so drawn out and so over the top with it's like the Vision meme, like maybe I am like what, like fill in the blank, like but Enoch was like, he just always felt like a real person just the whole time, and you never really thought that there was this quest, but like that he was searching to like become human or something. But then all right in his final moments, it all kind of starts happening for him. I think, and a big part of that is in season 7, you know, he gets stuck and he has to basically he's like a bartender for like 50 years.
That's my favorite recurring joke of the season.
Yeah, and like all of that kind of goes into his final moments. That like, I think without that, being a bartender for 50 years, he wouldn't have even have like cared that he was dying. But because he's talked to all these people and heard all these worries, there's even a great joke when you first see him being a bartender where this guy's like telling him the sob story and he just could not give two shits. Like he couldn't, like he was like listening to him, but he was just like, go on. Like, but it all just builds up to his death, which I think is just phenomenal. And it doesn't beat you over the head with it or anything. It's just so good, I think, through and through, with Enoch's death.
I do have to say that Enoch's death, while I love it and I think it's amazing the way that it's handled, it's also really pisses me off because, with at least for maybe I understand the Chronocom's wrong, but couldn't they just make a new body for him in the Chronocom machine they have to make new Coulsons or whatever? Because they should presumably have Enoch's data, because that's how they work.
I think the issue is that they can make a copy of him, but like it wouldn't be like Coulson. They had like his like full brain. You know what I mean? Like the same, like the way that they could make him, the way that Deke could make him the AI, like the max headroom in the computer and stuff. I don't think they had all of that for Enoch. Like, yes, I think definitely they could make him a new body. But I think the issue is that also probably that thing like contains something important and like it probably like fried it out of there. I'm just trying to make an excuse to make sense for the show. Yeah, but that was something that I thought of too, where I was just like, well, can't you just like rebuild him? But part of me was like, I get he's gone, but also,
I'm fine. I'm happy with how it ended. I'm happy with how he went out.
But also,
like,
just like I could make an excuse for the show in my brain to be like, that thing contained like an essential part of him and it like burned out or something. You know what I mean? Like he just like wasn't recoverable, like the non-recoverable disk for a computer. I would say the other thing I want to talk about for season 7 is the sinking ship, which is I did not see Daisy and Sousa coming. I was kind of taken aback because I thought that they were building a very nice like what do you want to call it? Like a familial bond, like a father and son almost, or like older brother, like younger sister type thing. And then all of a sudden she's like kissed him, and I was like, whoa, what about Deke? And then the whole Daisy and Deke thing just kind of falls to the wayside until finally Deke says one thing about it right before he, you know, says that he's gonna be the one staying behind in the finale. Like he says one thing where he's like, you know, and besides, it seems like you make Daisy, like, I think he doesn't say like happier than I ever could, but he's just like really happy, like you two need to be together type thing. Like he like willingly gives up his pursuit at the end. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else like spoilery that you want to talk about from the rest of the show, or anything else that you want to bring up mainly like to talk about for it?
I mean, aside from the end, not really anything I want to specifically bring up. I mean, I feel like we should maybe touch on a thing from each season to kind of give like a whole view of it to anyone who's just watching this to know about it. But yeah, nothing specific. Just I think we should do that. But
yeah, I think in season 1, definitely, I think for those who don't know, like you have towards the middle of the season, the whole collapse of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you have the whole, what was it called? Like the Uprising arc, where it was
I think it's called Uprising.
Yeah, where that was like what the pod was called. It was Coulson and his team basically trying to get as much of S.H.I.E.L.D. back together as possible. And then that's when you first see the underground bunker. Is that correct, or is that not until season 2? Like the brick one?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
When that one, it might be season 2. I think it comes.
Yeah, I think you don't see it until season 2. That's probably what it
is.
is.
Because I'm pretty sure there's like the fake S.H.I.E.L.D. or real S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever arc where they get it from them because they were on the Zephyrin before that. I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And then also characters we haven't talked about at all. Bobby and Hunter, good characters.
Oh, I think I said Billy earlier, but I meant Bobby.
Yeah, their spinoff should not have been canceled.
Agree.
If they're doing a Agents of Sword show, put them in that. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so then season 1, wraps up with then you find out that Ward is Hydra, or at least he's a relatively new addition to Hydra, but he's working for John Garrett. He has been turned to the Hydra cause by John Garrett, who's played by Bill Paxton. And then the season winds up with Nick Fury comes in, and Phil uses the same gun that he shot Loki with to blow a big hole in John Garrett's.
Can you just say I love season 7 Garrett? When he's like, "You blew me up, Phil. You shot me, Phil."
It's really good, and it's played by Bill Paxton's son, which is like.
Was it really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome. Honestly, for me, I think if you want to watch the show, I would suggest watching the show. I don't think we have to go through every season. I just think.
Okay.
I think what we should move on to is let's just move on to the how and where do we want to see these characters again, just because I feel like that's really the most important thing, is where do we go from here with this show.
I think we should talk about the very final minutes of the last episode along with this to give context.
That's what I mean. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So in this, so I'm going to go through and kind of we'll talk about where each person goes. So basically, season 7 wraps up. They win. As we talked about, Deke has to stay behind in a different timeline. So Deke isn't part of the. Basically, they do like a 1 year later jump forward. And they do like a reunion thing. So let me just get your thoughts on this really quick. Do you think that 1 year later is in 2024? It's got to be.
No.
But the snap, they would have been inside the blip.
Yeah, I think it ends during the blip.
Okay, and they just don't make mention of it just because they don't really have to. Okay.
Yeah, because the series kind of goes through without ever making any big jump.
Yeah, because I've seen so many people that are like, well, it can't be part of the MCU because half of everybody would have been gone. And it's like, okay, but if it's 2021 and it's been 3 years since the blip, like an office building is still going to be full. It just means that there's going to be another office building that's completely empty. It doesn't mean that like half of everything even late, like it's like the diner that the Hulk is in, that they go meet the Hulk in. Like that diner's full. There's just less people around. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not like I've seen so many things. It just bugged me because I've seen so many things online that are like, they're like, well, that school that May was at looked pretty full to me. And it's like, there's still people. Like there's just not as many people. Like I just hate that people were like, that's concrete evidence that this is like somehow is on a different timeline. And it's like the whole point of the finale was that they came back to the MCU timeline. That was the entire purpose of the show
what-
was to
that's
come
why I
back
did
to.
this.
That was literally the entire reason, was to come back to the MCU timeline. But anyways, because then the alternative was people were like, well, maybe it takes place in 2024, so it's after Hulk snap or whatever. But I agree with you.
No,
I think
it
it's
takes
just that,
place 2020 if I had to guess a year.
yeah, I think it
Like,
just
it takes
takes place
place here.
during it. And like we said, that's like two or 3 years after Thanos' snap. So it's like the world has adjusted to it. You know what I mean? Like, but what's it called? Okay. So basically you get the 1 year later moment and everybody's kind of around a table. They're all there. You know, you find out it's all virtually. So basically we'll go through where everybody ends up. So Mac, basically.
But we should also mention they're in the diner that Enoch was in. I like that.
Oh,
touch.
yeah. They're in well, it's the Swordfish Diner. Huh? Sword?
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Oh, Agents of Sword. I'm telling you, man. Disney Plus 2022. Let's get after it. All right. So let's start. We got Mac, who is basically Nick Furying it up with a big long jacket on a helicarrier. That's where he basically goes off to. Yo-Yo has kind of a small kind of like extraction or like reconnaissance team of her own that like she's all good with her power, like all together now, like she's got confidence and stuff. And so she's kind of doing her own thing with her own little team, kind of working with Mac, but not like physically with him anymore. Because the whole thing is that obviously, like any finale, they're all split up now. And then you have May, who is now running a Shield, the new Shield Academy, which is now called Coulson Academy, right? That was what it was called.
Yeah.
I think it was Academy. I couldn't remember the second word. And then you also have Fitz and Simmons. They're retired. They have their kid. They're probably not coming back for anything. And then the two others who are coming to the reunion thing is Daisy, who is basically off in space with Sousa and now her sister. And then we get Coulson, who's just kind of doing it. Then we get Coulson, who's just kind of doing his own thing, who is going to be, who then gets in, the new Lola. He takes an item from Mac. Mac gets him some secret thing and also gives him the new Lola, and then he takes off and the show ends. So out of
What happened to
those,
the old Lola?
I think she got blown up, right?
Did she? That's fair.
I think so. Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
I can't remember really, but I think she got destroyed. So out of those five, kind of separate ways, what do you want to see from that? Do you want to see which character?
Coulson and Daisy are the only two I think will come back.
Okay, so we don't even have to talk about the other ones because those are the only two for me as well.
Sorry. Can you give me 1 second?
Yeah, no problem. I'll just vamp about it talking real quick. Yeah, so for me, I just think that the only characters that should come back would be Daisy and Coulson, because I think that for me, I think my pitch for Coulson, I think you just kind of roll him back into the MCU, whether that's in the movies or through the Disney Plus series, whatever they want to do with him. I think you just kind of put him back into the exact same capacity that he was before, where he is kind of the official recruiter for the Avengers. So you have a show like Miss Marvel or She-Hulk or something. I think that you put Coulson in something like that as somebody who can kind of show them the ropes, kind of get them involved and do the kind of you're part of a larger world speech that Nick Fury did. And then for Daisy, I think that Daisy deserves and has grown to be a big enough character that I think that she could have a show on her own, whether it's on Disney Plus or ABC. I think it would be something that would be more towards Disney Plus, just because I feel like Disney Plus is where they are putting the future of the Marvel shows. I think they're going to try and move away from network stuff so that they can try to have, bigger budgets and also more screen time to be able to build onto stuff. But I think the bigger budget on Disney Plus is definitely more so. Welcome back. I was just saying my two things for Coulson and Daisy would be, I think for Daisy, I think she definitely has a future as her own, I think, Disney Plus show. I was saying Disney Plus or ABC, but I think it would be more Disney Plus, just because that's where I think they're moving everything. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to get away from doing it on the network and stuff, because they want people to be engaged with Disney Plus. And also, it would be a good mark for the character to be able to make the transition from ABC, like a show on ABC, to a Disney Plus show. I think that would be a really big vote of confidence for Daisy. And then for Coulson, what I was saying was, I genuinely think you just roll him back right into the role that he had before. I think you bring him on shows like She-Hulk or Miss Marvel or Moon Knight, and you have him be the kind of recruiter guy who gives the "you're part of a larger world, you just don't know it yet" kind of speech. I think that's the perfect thing that you do with him, because he's not going to get another show of his own. Like, and I just mean, it could be the Disney Plus shows, or you could even throw him right back in the movies have him fill the kind of a role like a Randall Park in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Maria Hill and Nick Fury in Far From Home, that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, whenever they need like a government guy, just bring him back in. And I mean, it's easy to explain. Just say, the MCU is so weird now, you could just say, like, if somebody's like, didn't that guy die in the first Avengers? You just be like, well, he's back now. They're like,
he's been doing 7 seasons of a TV show. Okay.
Yeah, you just be like, all right. Like, because, I mean, they watched half of everybody die and come back anyways, so I think they're used to it by now. So that would be the only people that I want to see back, would be that. I think the other people, I think they belong in this show. They kind of end with this show. But I think Daisy she deserves to have kind of her own thing, or more of a thing. You know what I mean? And then I think Phil just always deserves to be in it. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just a mainstay of the MCU. I genuinely think. I mean, you look at like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. completely aside, they brought him back for Captain Marvel. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they brought, like, just for that plain simple fact, shows that, like, he's not done. Like, they're not just going to be like, well, he's done because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is done. It's like, totally regardless of anything happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they brought him back for a substantial role in Captain Marvel in the prequel. Like, just that fact alone really, I think, shows that he's not a character that's just going to end with this show. But what do you think about, how would you want to see Coulson and or Daisy continue?
I really don't know, because with how Coulson ends, where he's like, I took this year to decide if I want to basically kill myself or not, and then I feel like where he's at, he's just like, I don't really know yet. I still really, I just a few places I want to see, which I guess, so he could, I don't know. The first thing that popped in my head is, like, whenever Namor gets introduced, like, maybe he wants to go see Atlantis. Like, he can go see places like that, because he doesn't need to breathe. He can just go chill underwater or whatever and go see Namor or something. I think it'd be really weird to have him introduced again with Namor. But I don't know. I really don't know where I would want to see him. But with Daisy, it definitely like a show, or I really want to see her in the Avengers. I want to see her in one of the movies, like, really bad. Also, I know we didn't really say that we could see him again, but I feel like besides those two, if we were to see anyone again, it would be Mac, maybe? Only if they bring S.H.I.E.L.D. back, because it would be like, how are you going to bring S.H.I.E.L.D. back and not talk about the director, unless we're just going to ignore the fact that he's the director?
Okay, this is what I think. I think because in that final moment, in that final round table thing, they never call him director, because you got to remember, in Far From Home, Nick Fury is still the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the current timeline. And I think when they hopped back over, I think Mac got a demotion, because he realized, because Fury, they're full on referring to themselves as Shield. The car they drive has the Shield logo on it in Far From Home. Like at least the two of them are very much, like Nick Fury and Maria Hill are very much under the impression that Shield is still a thing.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess, is that probably Mac is not the director anymore, but he is running some portion of it. Maybe so, or maybe he's running it because Nick's gone. Think about that. Nick's in space right now. That was the last time we saw him. So maybe he's running it in Fury's absence. That actually makes more sense. That would make more sense. And then maybe when Fury comes back, maybe then that's where you get Mac in a movie. Is wherever Fury comes back to Earth.
Yeah, we'll finally get that Nick Fury movie that we were promised 10 years ago or whatever, and it'll be Mac and Nick as a buddy cop movie.
It'd be called Mac and Me.
I want that. I want that now.
But yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think wherever, if we ever see Mac again, I think it's got to be something where it's him and Fury doing something together, because I mean they're pretty much, like we said, they never called him director. I think the impression is that he's not the director anymore because Shield is a bigger thing, but he might be acting like leader or something while Fury is off world, because remember he was having Talos fill in for him, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure he'd be happy to have an actual, like, somebody capable of running the job do it instead. But yeah, I mean, with that, did you have anything else? Any other things you want to see from this, or any other things you want to mention from the show before we wrap it up?
Do we think that the Daisy and Sousa and Korra in space thing is finally Sword, or is it just another Sword tease that's not actually Sword? I feel like I broke you with that.
I think that this one, I think Sword is definitely coming. Sword is absolutely coming, because we've seen it in WandaVision set pictures. There's cars.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, there's cars. There's SUVs with the Sword logo on it in WandaVision. So it's definitely coming. I think that this was just another illusion tease towards it. I think they very much could be. I think they could be part of it. I don't think we're ever going to get confirmation of that. And I do think that if we get a Daisy show, I think it's going to be something of like, oh, where's Daniel? Oh, he's still off with Sword. You know, I don't think it's going to be like a Korra, Daisy, and Sousa show. I think it would just be like Daisy back on Earth, and like maybe Sousa pops up once in a while type thing. You know what I mean? I think that's what it would be.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, it's just hard to tell right now. Everything's so early. But yeah, I mean, I think that'll do it for the first inaugural episode of Planet Hero on the channel and on the podcast feed.
So much for being short.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. Yeah, this ended up being longer than Planet Film, but we had a crap ton to talk about, and we had a whole entire show to break down. So
I could do a whole another hour and a half, to be honest, talking about S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. You got to cap it off at some point, because there's so much that we could just dive even deeper into. And who knows, maybe we will one day. Maybe we'll do like some deep dive on it or something if there's a slow week and we don't have anything else to talk about. But like we said, next week is definitely not going to be a slow week. It's definitely
DC Fandome.
Yeah, it's going to be a humongous DC Fandome recap. We might even, I don't know if he's available or what. But if it's super big stuff, we might even have our first trio co-host on here. Might bring TJ on here if there's a ton of stuff to talk about that, you know, he wants in on the conversation as well. And we will definitely be talking about some of the big DC Fandome stuff on Planet Film this Tuesday, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trailers coming out. But here is where we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of everything. We're going to be talking the Suicide Squad : Kill the Justice League game, the new Batman game, anything that we get for the TV shows or any of the smaller news stuff. We are going to be going in on every angle that DC Fandome has to offer us. So yeah, with that, I think, you know, it's been a great first episode of Planet Hero. Again, I just want to say, you know, my name is Sean Monk.
I am Don Beasley.
This has been Planet Hero, and always remember, stay safe, and remember, the night is darkest just before the dawn. Peace out, everybody.